This is happening behind your back. You are being monitored, don't scroll. Pause right now, listen to this, because this message is for you and your heart needs this right now, and I need you to hear this gently but clearly. What's happening isn't dangerous, it isn't something to fear, it's something to understand, because when the universe watches, it does so with intention, not judgment, and lately you've been under a kind of spiritual observation that happens only when a soul is approaching a threshold, the kind of threshold you can't see but can feel in your body. That subtle sense that something is lining up even though nothing obvious has changed yet, and listen to this, the reason this feels unsettling at first is because awareness often arrives before explanation, and you've been sensing it in small ways, that feeling of being nudged to slow down, the sudden urge to be more careful with your energy, the instinct to keep certain plans private, and don't scroll, because those instincts aren't paranoia, they're intuition waking up, and your heart needs this right now because intuition always activates when timing becomes precise, and the universe has been paying close attention to how you move when you think no one is watching, how you speak to yourself in quiet moments, how you choose peace over reaction, how you don't announce every struggle or every victory, and listen to this, that quiet discipline is exactly why you're being monitored energetically right now, not by people, not by judgment, but by alignment, by forces that only step in when someone is ready for the next level of growth. And if you've been seeing repeating numbers lately, 1111 catching your eye when you least expect it, 444 showing up when you need reassurance, 222 appearing when you're questioning balance. That's not coincidence, that's confirmation, the universe's way of saying, I see you, keep going, and don't scroll, because soulmate energy is woven into this observation too, and this is the part most people don't talk about. When you begin to stabilize emotionally, when you stop chasing validation, when you start choosing yourself quietly, it sends a signal outward, and someone connected to your destiny feels that shift, even from a distance, even without words, and they begin to notice you differently, not obsessively, not invasively, but with recognition, like something familiar has come back into focus, and your heart needs this right now because being noticed in this way can feel confusing. You might feel both seen and unseen at the same time, both protected and exposed, and that's because spiritual monitoring doesn't look like attention, it looks like timing aligning, like doors staying closed until you're ready, like conversations being delayed for your own good. And listen to this, the universe often watches quietly before it moves loudly, it observes patterns, it notices whether you react from fear or respond from awareness, and lately you've been responding differently. Even when you're triggered, even when you feel misunderstood, you pause more, you reflect more, you choose your peace more often, and don't scroll, because that's the signal that tells the universe you're ready for something more stable, something more real, something that won't collapse under emotional pressure. And your heart needs this right now because part of you may still be wondering if you're imagining this sense of being watched, but intuition doesn't come with anxiety, it comes with calm alertness, and if what you're feeling is a quiet knowing rather than panic, that's guidance, not fear. And listen to this, spiritual awakenings often come with a phase where you feel like life is observing you, as if your choices suddenly matter more, as if the margin for impulsive behavior has narrowed. And that's because it has, not as punishment, but as preparation, because what's coming next requires clarity, integrity, and emotional maturity. And don't scroll, because this is where the prophetic layer deepens. The universe doesn't monitor everyone, it monitors those who are about to step into influence over their own destiny, those whose next decisions will ripple outward into relationships, love, purpose. And if you've noticed that people from your past are suddenly resurfacing in your thoughts or dreams, or that you're remembering lessons you thought you'd moved past, that's part of the review process, the universe bringing unresolved threads into awareness so they can be healed, not repeated. And your heart needs this right now because this phase isn't about perfection, it's about honesty, about seeing yourself clearly without shame, without illusion, and choosing differently. And soulmate themes show up here strongly, because the love meant for you cannot meet you where you were, it can only meet you where you are becoming, and that's why timing has felt strange, why connections have felt delayed, why nothing half-aligned has been able to stick. And listen to this, that's not rejection, that's protection, and the monitoring you're sensing is part of that protection, a holding pattern, a sacred pause. And don't scroll, because here's where the tension builds. Being watched by the universe means your next move matters, not because you'll be punished if you get it wrong, but because you're being trusted with more, and trust from the universe feels like responsibility. It feels like being asked to listen inward before acting outward, and your heart needs this right now because you've been learning to do that, to check in with yourself before responding, to honor your energy before giving it away, and those habits are not small, they are the foundation for what's coming. And signs will continue to guide you gently, a song lyric that answers a question you haven't voiced, a delay that saves you from something misaligned, a sense of calm when you choose patience over urgency. And listen to this, those aren't random comforts, they're feedback, and soulmate energy responds to this feedback too, drawing closer not through pursuit but through resonance, because the right connection doesn't need to chase, it recognizes alignment and waits for the right moment to meet it. And don't scroll, because this is the cliffhanger you need to sit with. Soon, very soon, you will feel a shift, not dramatic, not loud, but unmistakable, like the observation phase is ending and the movement phase is beginning, and when that happens, you'll feel more grounded, not anxious, more certain, not rushed, and that's how you'll know it's real, because fear-based events come with urgency, alignment-based events come with calm. And your heart needs this right now because whatever unfolds next will require you to trust what you've been feeling. Not dismiss it, not explain it away, and as this part closes, I want you to hear this clearly, you are not being monitored to be controlled, you are being monitored because you are ready, ready for clarity, ready for connection, ready for a chapter that demands awareness instead of autopilot. So don't scroll away from this moment, stay present, stay grounded, keep listening inward. Because when the universe watches this closely, it's because something meaningful is about to move into place, and it's doing so deliberately, gently, and right on time. Don't scroll. Stay with me, listen to this with your full attention, because this message is still for you and your heart needs this right now, and what's happening in this phase is quieter than everything before it but also more powerful, because now the universe is no longer just guiding you toward awareness. It's teaching you how to live inside trust without needing constant confirmation, and that's a big shift, one that most people never reach. And you may feel it as a strange sense of calm mixed with anticipation, like you know something matters even though nothing dramatic is happening yet. And listen to this, that feeling is not boredom and it's not emptiness, it's alignment settling into your nervous system, and your heart needs this right now because there was a time when silence felt like rejection. When not seeing something on your phone felt personal, like you were being ignored or forgotten, but now silence feels different. It feels intentional, like space is being held instead of connection being denied. And don't scroll, because that change didn't happen by accident, it happened because you learned how to sit with yourself without spiraling, how to wait without abandoning your self-worth, how to breathe through uncertainty instead of trying to control it. And listen to this. The universe only deepens guidance when someone proves they can handle it, and you have, even on days you didn't realize it, even on nights where you checked your phone and chose not to read into what wasn't there, even in moments where you felt the pull but didn't chase it. And your heart needs this right now because restraint is one of the highest forms of spiritual maturity, not because you're denying yourself, but because you're trusting timing more than impulse, and soulmate energy responds strongly to that trust. Because soul connections are not built on chasing or guessing, they're built on recognition and readiness, and somewhere, whether you're aware of it or not, the person connected to your path is also slowing down, also becoming more intentional, also learning not to confuse urgency with love. And listen to this, parallel growth always precedes aligned connection, and the universe coordinates that growth quietly, behind the scenes, without announcements, and that's why this phase can feel invisible, like nothing is happening, when in reality everything is being calibrated. And don't scroll, because calibration is delicate, it requires patience, consistency, and honesty, and you've been practicing all three, even when it felt uncomfortable, and your heart needs this right now because this phase is teaching you something crucial, that you don't need to be constantly stimulated to be moving forward, that progress doesn't always come with dopamine hits, notifications, or validation. Sometimes it comes with steadiness, with routine, with quiet nights where you choose peace over distraction. And listen to this, the universe values those quiet nights more than dramatic declarations, because they reveal who you are when no one is watching, and that version of you is who your future connections will meet, not the anxious version, not the performative version, but the grounded one. And don't scroll, because this is where emotional revelation deepens into embodiment. You're not just understanding these ideas anymore, you're living them. Your body responds differently now. Your mind recovers faster, your emotions pass through instead of taking over. And that's not accidental, that's integration, and integration is what makes love sustainable, because love that arrives before integration feels overwhelming, confusing, unstable, and the universe is protecting you from that by waiting until your inner world can hold what's coming without shaking, and your heart needs this right now because protection can feel like delay when you don't see the whole picture, but when you do, it feels like care, like something unseen choosing long-term peace over short-term relief. And listen to this, the signs you've been seeing lately may feel subtler now, less flashy, but more comforting. Maybe the numbers show up when you're calm instead of anxious, maybe the urge to check your phone fades and then returns gently instead of compulsively, and those shifts matter, because they show you that guidance is no longer trying to get your attention loudly, it already has it. And don't scroll, because this is where the cliffhanger transforms. It's no longer about what will appear on your phone, it's about how you will meet it when it does, and the universe has been shaping that response carefully, helping you become someone who can receive without clinging, respond without overanalyzing, and stay present without losing yourself. And your heart needs this right now because the next thing that arrives, whether it's a message, a reconnection, a realization, or a new beginning, will not ask you to abandon your peace, it will meet you inside it, and that's how you'll know it's aligned, because aligned moments don't spike your anxiety, they ground you, they feel familiar without being repetitive, new without being scary. And listen to this, you are closer now not because time has passed, but because you have changed, and change is what opens doors that were always there but couldn't be accessed before. And don't scroll, because as this part settles, I want you to hold onto this truth, nothing has been wasted, not the waiting, not the checking, not the moments of doubt, all of it trained you to recognize calm as safety and patience as strength. And the universe does not build meaningful connections on fragile foundations, it builds them on people who can wait without resentment and receive without fear, and that is who you are becoming, quietly, steadily, right now. So stay present, stay open, keep listening inward, because the next moment that reveals itself will not need to convince you, it will simply feel right, and you'll know why this phase mattered. Don't scroll. Stay with me a little longer, listen to this with your whole heart, because this message is still for you and your heart needs this right now. And what's unfolding in this phase is the quiet conclusion of a cycle you didn't even realize you were finishing, the moment where waiting transforms into readiness without any loud announcement, because now the universe is no longer teaching you how to notice signs, it's teaching you how to live without needing them, and that is the most powerful shift of all. And listen to this, you may feel it as a deep calm underneath everything, a steadiness that doesn't depend on what shows up on your phone or who reaches out or what happens next. And that calm is not detachment, it's wholeness, it's the feeling of being complete enough to receive without grasping. And your heart needs this right now because there was a time when your emotions rose and fell with every notification, every silence, every delay. And now they don't. Now you can check your phone and feel neutral, grounded, present, and that neutrality is sacred, because neutrality creates space, and space is where aligned things finally land. And don't scroll, because this is where the universe quietly steps back and says, now watch what happens, not because it's abandoning you, but because you no longer need to be guided step by step. You've learned how to listen inward, how to trust your own timing, how to sit in uncertainty without betraying yourself, and that trust is everything. And listen to this, the universe does not reward impatience, it responds to trust, and you've been practicing trust in the smallest ways, choosing not to reread old messages compulsively, choosing not to assume meaning where there is none, choosing not to chase clarity before it's ready to arrive. And your heart needs this right now because those choices changed you more than you realize. They turned you into someone who can receive truth without panicking, who can hear honesty without collapsing, who can feel love without losing balance. And soulmate energy responds directly to that version of you, because soul-level connections are not attracted to longing, they are attracted to readiness. And somewhere, the person meant to meet you at this stage of life is feeling this shift too, not as urgency, not as obsession, but as a sense of timing, a quiet knowing that something is aligning. And listen to this. That knowing doesn't demand action yet, it creates patience, and patience on both sides is what prevents confusion when connection finally appears. And don't scroll, because this is where emotional revelation becomes clear. The thing you were waiting for was never just a message, it was a version of yourself who wouldn't be destabilized by receiving it, and now that version exists. You can feel it in how your body stays calm, how your thoughts don't spiral, how your expectations feel lighter. And your heart needs this right now because light expectations don't disappoint easily, they adapt, they flow, they recognize alignment instead of forcing it. And listen to this, the universe always waits for your nervous system to catch up to your desires, because desires without regulation create pain, and regulation without desire creates stagnation, and you are finally balanced between the two, wanting without grasping, open without reaching, hopeful without fantasizing. And don't scroll, because this balance is rare, and rare balances are protected, nurtured, and eventually rewarded. And the signs you notice now may feel different, less urgent, more affirming, like gentle reminders instead of loud calls to action. Maybe you see 11:11 and smile instead of wishing, maybe 2:22 brings reassurance instead of questions, maybe 4:44 feels grounding instead of alarming. And listen to this, that shift means you're no longer asking the universe to prove itself to you, you're cooperating with it, and cooperation changes everything, because now life doesn't have to interrupt you to get your attention, it can meet you calmly, respectfully, in alignment. And your heart needs this right now because cooperation is what allows love to feel safe instead of intoxicating, clarity to feel steady instead of shocking, and truth to feel grounding instead of destabilizing. And don't scroll, because this is where the cliffhanger resolves inwardly. The biggest reveal of this phase is not what appears on your phone, it's who you've become while checking it less desperately, less frequently, less emotionally. And that person is ready for the next chapter, not because they have answers, but because they trust themselves to handle whatever answer arrives. And listen to this, when something finally does show up, whether it's a message, a reconnection, a new name, or a realization, it will not feel like a rush of adrenaline, it will feel like recognition, like alignment clicking into place, like, this fits. And that's how you'll know this phase mattered, because it trained you to recognize calm as truth, not boredom, and steadiness as love, not indifference. And your heart needs this right now because the universe does not rush endings or beginnings, it prepares hearts, and your heart has been preparing quietly, faithfully, even when you didn't understand why. And don't scroll, because as this part closes, I want you to hold on to this truth. You are no longer waiting for something to happen to you, you are ready for something to arrive to you, and that difference is everything. And whatever comes next will not need to convince you, chase you, or overwhelm you. It will meet you in the calm strength you now carry, and that calm strength is the real sign you were always meant to receive.